tricked a man into getting you pregnant several years ago. Why did you do that?
Well, basically, Robert, I'd been in and out of relationships. I'd been in a relationship for 6 years. I had my own business in promotions, modelling. I'd been in beauty competitions. I'd lived this high life. And then I reached the age of 30 and I felt completely lost. I wanted somebody to love. I wanted love back. And I was actually suicidal. And I thought about it and I really, really wanted a child. I felt that I'd been there, done that, had the relationship, as I say, and, you know, I was on my own. I got my house, the car, the business, and nobody to love. So basically, a friend of mine, we went out one night. A friend came with me and he introduced me to his male friend. And we had a few drinks and, you know, the subject came up about myself being 30 and wanting a child. And basically, this guy, can't remember his name, he said to me, he said, well, I produce girls. And sort of smirked and we giggled and we laughed about it and we carried on the night. And then my friend, the male friend, had to take my friend home. So it left us, you know, together. Without going into details, we slept together and I got pregnant. But the funny part about it was a month ago I'd been to IVF to see about having IVF, and I was counselled and I was interviewed and they agreed that I would be a suitable single parent to bring up a child. And I told them the reason why. And then I got pregnant. I just fell pregnant with this guy. So I had to ring IVF up and tell them the good news. And they wrote a lovely letter to me and they wished me all the best.
How long ago was this?
7 years ago.
7 years ago. And did you tell the man that he'd got a daughter?
No, I didn't, because I never ever saw him again. Basically what happened, I kept in contact with my male friend, who was a friend of his, and he must have told him. And the conversation went once. He did ring me up and he did say, because we were in competition in business, and I felt it was just to get back at me. He said, well, you know, he says, so this guy wants your number. He wants to ring, you know, he wants to ring you and take you out for a drink. And I just said, I mean, at the time my daughter was 6 months old, I said, oh, I knew this was going to happen. But he never ever did get in contact with me.
So you think your friend who was in business was making this up maliciously?
Yeah, just maliciously.
It wasn't
to get
the man
back at me.
So as far as you know, the man doesn't know? The man doesn't know he's got a seven-year-old daughter?
So there's something tells me he does know, but he's not responsible enough.
But you've never been in contact with him?
No.
You've never told him, come and see your daughter?
No.
Or would you want him to?
No.
Have you told your daughter?
She's too young yet to understand.
At 7?
At 7.
Doesn't she not? I know kids at that age, don't they ask about, and I've heard them last week of that age asking where their dad is, because their dad is dead. I've heard them at 6 last weekend, talking to other kids saying, where's your dad?
I've actually brought her up, whereas we say jokingly, we don't need a father, and she'll say, we don't need a dad.
Don't you think it's a bit unfair for her for the future?
I have got to admit, I am going through a bit of a guilt trip at the moment. And half of me thinks, because she's such a lovely child, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a mum. I mean, we went out shopping the other day and there were some clothes on the floor and she just picked those clothes up and hung them back up. She is a lovely child, and I do feel that when she is a teenager, perhaps it might be thrown back at me in my face.
Let's come back up, we'll come on to that. For the moment, let's deal with the morality of getting pregnant by a man without his knowledge or consent. Was that the right thing to do?
Well, really, he knew. He said to me he produced girls. He knew what he was up to.
Was it the right thing to do, to have a child by
yes,
knowing that she wasn't going to have a father?
Yes. That
she would never have that man around?
Yeah.
It was the right thing to do?
Yeah.
Why?
Because she gets 100% attention from me. Yeah. She's doing very well at school. She's one of the top pupils at her school. If there was a man involved, he would want at least 50% of my attention, and that child would not get all my attention.
Did you do the right thing? You were saying no.
No, I think it's selfish. I think you thought of yourself and yourself alone. You never once considered your daughter. You had the house, the job, the money, and you, like you said, something was missing. You should have got a puppy. If you wanted something to love, you should have got a puppy. You don't have a child because there's something missing in your life. But you don't have a child because something is missing in your life. You have a child because you're with a partner, you're in a loving relationship, and you want children.
Who says that? Society?
Society. Well, if society says that, morality says that.
Right.
Why should you make the choice to have a child and bring it into this world without a father?
I'm an
Who
individual.
are you to decide for that child? She should not have a father.
I'm an individual.
You made
and
that
it's
choice
up
for
to me
your
to make a
daughter.
decision whether
You
I
made
want a
that
child
choice for
or
your
not.
daughter. She had no say-so.
That's why she's
One
got
day
to.
she will grow up and she will say to you, Mum, where is my dad? What are you going to tell her? What are you going to say to her?
She's got to live with it.
You're denying her the right. You're denying him the right to have a daughter in his life. You're denying her the right to have a father in her life. There's enough single families out there. There's enough. No, how would he? Have you told him?
He knew. He said to me.
No.
He said.
Did you sit him down and say, John, you have a daughter? Or are you going to wait until she wants to see him and the guilt's too much for you to bear and you're going to go and knock on his door and say, oh, by the way, this is your 17-year-old daughter?
No, I don't think I'm that kind of person.
If the guilt is getting to you now, she's 7.
I am very
When she
strong-minded.
starts putting pressure on you to see a father, then the guilt's going to become too much to bear. And like you said, you suffer from depression and you become suicidal. It's going to get too much for you. You yourself said those words. I didn't. So if when the pressure gets to you, and she gets to you, because children want to know who their fathers are.
They're at school, there's parents' meetings, things like that. They see other children with their parents, mum or dad, keep saying to you, where's my dad, where's my dad? No dad.
Yeah, it's easy to say, oh, we can bring up, we don't
think
need
that's
a
load
dad.
of rubbish.
You're telling your daughter she
Because I
doesn't
wouldn't
need
have
a
done it.
dad.
I was 30 at the time.
Yeah, and the
I thought-
biological clock
Beverly,
was
listen
ticking.
to
I do
let
think
Karen
it's
respond to
rubbish.
you. All right,
I
let her
really
respond.
do think you're speaking rubbish. You're in the millennium now.
Rubbish! No, I'm sorry. 50 years ago, 100
You're
years ago,
going back
men and
to,
women had children.
you're going back
taking
to the
why?
heyday.
It's society telling you now that you should be a single parent.
Now let Karen respond to you.
You are a free person. You can make your own mind up, and you can do what you want within the law.
Okay. I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. It's a free person. You can make the choices, but you made a choice without. You involved a third, and you involved a second and third party. They had no choice. So you had the choice, but the gentleman in question had no choice.
But
The
why-
child has no
why
choice.
did the man
So
say
whether it's the 21st century or the 100th or the 19th century,
let me produce
you
a girl
gave
for
that. You
you.
took that choice away from
Let
that
me
man.
produce that girl for
Do
you.
you what they're
Yes, I
saying?
produce girls.
Hear what they're saying, Monique? What do
I
you
hear
think?
what they're saying, but he had a choice. He had a choice.
No, she
No,
didn't
hang on,
ask
let
me.
Monique finish.
But he still had a choice. He had a choice whether to use contraception or not. He had a choice. She went back it up. He knew what she said. No, he knew what she wanted. He knew what she wanted. He knew what she wanted. She
But
told
Monique,
talking
let's talk about
child
Monique.
prevention.
Hang on, Beverly, let's talk about Monique then.
But we are talking about child prevention. What you've said is that she gave
Let her
him
finish,
no
let her finish.
choice. A man always has a choice.
But you-
And
what
for
if-
too long, they have neglected that choice. And then
what-
the responsibility for that is placed upon the women all the time.
Monique?
1,500 years ago, like you were talking about, those children ended up in Barnardo's homes.
Okay.
Now we've got
One at a time.
What we're talking about here, Monique.
Hey, you two, one at a time.
Therefore, hasn't got the choice whether
But
to say,
but
can
let's-
he support that child
Yeah,
or
but
not?
she discussed it with him that night. This is what she said. She told him that she wanted
never
a
said
baby.
she wanted a
He said he
baby.
produced
he
girls.
said he produced girls. She never said...
And he still slept with her without no protection. So at the end of the
Did
day,
you think you were
what's gonna
using
happen?
He gave his
contraception?
choice away at
Did you
that
think
stage.
hang on. Look at Karen's face. Did he think you were using contraception?
No, he knew I wasn't.
Monique, you want a child, don't you?
Desperately.
What are you doing about it?
I'm trying to have one at the moment.
By a man who doesn't know.
No, he does know.
Oh, he does know.
He does know.
Oh, I thought he didn't know.
No, he does know.
Oh, I thought you'd been with him for a few months and you were trying to have a child and he didn't know that you wanted a child.
No,
and
he knows that I want a child.
Cousin sitting alongside you was aiding and abetting you to...
No, I told her if she wants to have a baby, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, as a single parent, I feel, you know, we've got kids, and the men are there if they want to be there, and they're there if they don't want to be there.
But Monique hasn't got kids.
She hasn't got no kids. So
Right,
if she wants a kid, she can let the man know that she wants to have kids. So if he has the choice, he sleeps with her. He knows at the end of the day she wants to have children. So it's at the end of the day he must take that choice if he's going to use something or not. But he knows if he.
He can't put his faith in her.
The relationship.
The man mustn't put his faith in her.
But
From the day when she says to him...
But even that scenario,
No, but
it's
it's not
different.
that
It's
scenario.
not the right way. There's something kind of really important here, you know? Something really important. More important than everything else and everybody in this room. It's called a child.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's called a child.
I agree with you.
And somebody here is making decisions about that child. And I would have thought that a child, the most precious, vulnerable, innocent thing in the world, should be born out of love and consent.
Even if it is by one parent, what's the problem?
And a child is born of two parents. Where is the conversation? Where is the consultation? Where is the love? Where is the consent in what Karen has said, or even, indeed, in what Monique is doing? Because Monique is saying, I'm going to let it take its course. She's not saying I've got this man I love. She's not saying I've got this man I want to be the father of my child. She's not saying I've got this man I want to be together for the rest of her life to bring our children up in harmony and safety and peace and love. You're not saying that. She's saying, I've got this man, I'm going to have a child, and if he sleeps with me, then he knows the risks.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
Same
the
way we
result
know
is
the
a
risk as
child.
women. If we
The
sleep
result
with a
of
man.
that is a child. What
The
about the
result
child?
is life.
Is that the right way
Life
to
that would
conceive,
not have
Monique?
been there
But
without
is
me
that the
and
right
without
way to have
her.
a child, Monique?
As long as
Really?
there's love
For the
involved.
child?
What I would say is it's perhaps not the perfect way. It's perhaps not
Right.
the ideal
Right.
way.
It's never perfect. None of us have
Absolutely.
children in perfect
Right.
It's not
circumstances.
perfect, and if you look at the divorce
we're not talking
rates,
about
Robert-
perfect. We're not talking about ideal. We're talking about what's right. Is that right?
She's doing
It's
what's
right
right
for me.
for her.
Thank you.
Shut up,
She's
Elaine.
ready
I'm
for
talking
that.
to Molly. Well, if you don't step on her, she'll run this place, won't she? In 5. She's only been here 2 seconds and she thought she's on Jerry Springer. Where's she? Go on, what were you going to say?
It's right for her. You know,
We're talking about the child. We're talking
I
about
mean,
the
at the
child.
end of the
We're
day-
not talking about... You see, we seem to have this
It's down to-
terribly
if she
selfish
wants-
society. It's me, me,
if she's
me.
explained
What's
to him
right
at
for
the
me,
beginning-
me. What's right for the child,
Robert,
Elaine?
if she explained in the beginning that she wants a child and she's with a man and she's explained she wants a child, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, her biological clock is ticking over and she would like a child. At the end of the day, it is for him, basically, to, OK, say, Monique, either I don't want a child with you and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to take precautions that I, personally, am not going to conceive a child with you.
I agree with you that they have got the option to take precaution.
Yeah.
I've got a 5-year-old son. His father believes to this day that I tricked him into getting pregnant. I didn't.
Okay.
I was told I could never ever have children and was due to have a hysterectomy, and that is when I found out I was expecting my son. But to turn round and say that it doesn't affect children and that they don't hurt, I have my son in tears thinking he's a nasty little boy because his daddy doesn't want to see him. He's never ever seen him. And I sat and had a conversation with him saying I couldn't have children. And I said, but there is always that chance. And he said, I'm prepared to take that chance. And he now won't have anything to do with him. And it does affect the children. My son is loved, he's well adjusted. But he said to me last week, do you know, Mummy, I'm the only boy in my class that hasn't got a daddy. And last year, for his birthday, he was seriously ill in hospital with pneumonia the year before. I said to him, is there one special thing, one special present you'd really like for your birthday? Yes, a daddy. And so, and to rely on a 7-year-old, you say your daughter's 7? To rely on a 7-year-old for your emotional well-being is unbelievably selfish.
Is it fair? To the man?
I think if he agrees, then that's fine. And you say you didn't, you were self-sufficient.
Yes,
you didn't ever
that's
come
right.
back to him and ask for child support or
No,
anything?
I don't claim anything at all. I don't get child support, nothing at all. I'm very independent. I've got my own business and I'm a very strong person.
And he's done it before, you say? He
Of
must
course
have done
he
it.
has.
If he
Yes,
knows
he has got another daughter somewhere else.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I think if you plan to have a child, ideally it would be in a loving relationship. But to trick them and tell lies, that's like stealing something.
Well, I've been in a situation whereupon I believe that a lady tricked me. She got pregnant. She told me she was using the contraceptive pill. I was to find out later that she wasn't. I believe that she got deliberately pregnant. I tried to come to a financial agreement with her about the child. Unfortunately, she grasped me up to the Child Support Agency. Now, I work for the Ministry of Defence, paid by the government. I'm a very soft target. They take over a quarter of my wages.
Let's come on to that. We'll come on to that. We'll come on to paying and that, and I want to talk to you about that, Gary. But what do you feel about either Karen or Monique, who both say what they're doing is perfectly right, proper, acceptable for them? Is it fair on the man?
No, I don't think it is. No.
We'll talk to them. Explain
I mean,
to them what a man
in Karen's
feels.
situation...
Karen doesn't know what he feels, so she never had a conversation with him.
As long as there's balance and harmony for the child, then that's all that counts at the end of the day. There's a question of morality about it all as well, because in my circumstance, the partner that I was with, she stopped taking the pill. I felt like she'd stolen something from me. At first, it was okay.
Did you know, though, that she'd stopped taking the pill?
No, I had no knowledge of it.
You had no knowledge of it?
No. And I felt like she'd stolen something from me.
Hang on, my friend, I can't get you from there. Go on.
Pardon?
Go on. No, I can't get you from there, please, love. Please, go on, carry on.
I was 22 when it happened, which is about 10 years ago, and the relationship that I was in, it was based on trust, and there was love in the relationship. But that was all destroyed when she fell pregnant. I mean, I was actually happy to start with, but then it was my mother that burst the bubble for me. She brought me down to earth with such a bang. It made me realise, and I got so depressed, I was ready to...
How did your mother bring you down to earth with a bang?
She made me realise that she was being deceptive, she was deceiving.
And what did you feel like when you realised you'd been betrayed? What was the word you just say? Deceived, trust. What did you feel? Betrayed?
I felt betrayed. I felt like she'd stolen something from me. She'd pinch my jeans.
But don't you love your
there
child now,
though? At the
do
end
you love
of the
your
day.
child?
Yeah, I do. I still see him.
There you go. She blessed you with a child, and that's all you
can
do.
He didn't want to be blessed.
Doesn't matter. He's blessed
what
now.
gave her the
now
right?
he's blessed. He has a child
What
that
gave
he
her the
loves.
right to make a fundamental decision about his future?
Why not?
What gave her the right to make him a father?
So she's gone and done it.
She's changed his life.
Well, his life's going to change anyway.
What right?
He's going to change anyway. From the time he takes his trousers, his life has changed.
Come on. I think it doesn't. Listen. We can't say words like that.
Sorry,
and
but
it doesn't help your case to use words like that.
That's how it goes. We have to make the conscious effort for ourselves as women.
Judith, let's imagine it's you then in that situation. You said you're a single mom, you've got children. Would you think it would have been right to have made him a father of your child, even though he didn't? You're making a decision for him.
I would have told him.
Not just a kind of a minor decision, but a decision that's going to last with him for the rest of his life.
I would have told him that I wanted children.
But he said no.
I would have told him I was ready to have children. If I was in a relationship with him at the time, you know, and I was ready to have children and he wasn't, fair enough, he's not ready to have kids, but I am. If he doesn't want to deal with it afterwards, I'm sorry. But I'm ready, and that's what I wanted at the time.
That's deceptive. That's stealing something from someone, though, isn't it? It's like
the relationship progresses.
I nearly committed suicide because of that whole situation.
Well, I'm very sorry.
I will say, the situation that happened to me, I found very, very depressing. I had no say in the matter at all. I know I was tricked.
I don't agree.
The woman never spoke to me at all that she wanted to have a child. If she had done, we might have been able to discuss it. She didn't.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to let him finish, because this could be your fella. All what he's saying, I wasn't asked, never discussed, wasn't told. What does it make you feel?
Well, you feel cheap and used.
Cheap and used?
Yeah.
And what do you feel about the child?
I feel very sorry for the child.
You feel resentful, don't you?
Not towards the child,
no,
towards
towards the mother.
And I don't think, because I'm not on particularly good terms with the mother, because I believe I've been cheated, I've not had access to the child. I'd like to have access to the child, but he is not seeing his father at the moment, and I think he would have a better upbringing if he did have a two-parent family.
Is it his choice not to see you, or is she making that choice?
It's a combination of both. We're not on particularly good terms at the moment. The child is only 20 months old. I don't think at this stage it would have that much effect. No. Now, as the child gets older, obviously, I think it would start taking its toll.
Right, it's a boy.
It's a boy, yeah.
Yeah, it's very important for him to have his dad around.
What do you think about all this? Is it right? Is it Judith, Elaine, Judith and Monique, cousins, all three of them, are very quiet, those three now, aren't they? They're worried what I'm going to say next. I'm trying to think of something terrible to say just to keep the shock, keep them quiet for a bit longer. But no, those three are quite clear about it. They're quite clear in their mind.
I never said... Now, remember, Judith is the one, not me. that has spoken to Monique.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm the one that's just.
No, tell me what you feel then, Elaine.
I think basically Monique should do what she wants to do. I cannot, as my cousin and as a female, I cannot tell her what to do. She is the only one that's going to have to deal with the consequences of her actions.
So you'll support what she does?
So I will support whatever she does, regardless.
But you don't necessarily think it's right?
I don't agree with it, because of course I think every child should have their father or mother around. I'm that way, yes. Okay.
You're bloody thicker than water for you. I absolutely.
That's where I'm on there, Kilroy.
Absolutely accept that. So you're going to support her, whatever you'll have made your views known to her. You said, I don't think you're right what you're doing, but if you're going to do it, I'm with you, I'm behind you. Fine, respect that. But let's go back to Monique and Judith. You've heard are quite clear in their minds. She wants a child. It's her right to have a child, irrespective of whether the man wants to or not. He's just got to put up with it. And whether the child is going to have a single parent or a two-parent family. What do you think? Is that right?
I don't wish to pinpoint, but in general, all I can hear is selfishness in this audience. It's selfishness. And listening to this gentleman here, you were saying that your girlfriend had a baby you didn't know, but what about yourself? I mean, don't you wear condoms? Don't you do anything to protect yourself? Because I'm hearing blame.
You're in a loving, trusting relationship, and you both decided on the contraception that you were going to use, which was the pill.
Yeah.
She took it upon herself to stop taking the pill.
That's right.
If she had told you, Dave, I've stopped taking the pill, would you have used another form of contraception? i.e. the condom?
Yeah, if she'd stopped taking the pill.
She tricked you.
No way.
Yeah.
So when you're 20, whether you're 22 or 44, right? You're in a trusting and loving relationship.
So you trust the woman.
You trust your partner. What is the point of being in a relationship where there's trust if you're lying with this woman and you're still using the condom and she's taking the pill?
Sure.
Because you don't trust her.
Well, it's a slur on her integrity if you're doing that, isn't it?
So she there with all the devious sources decide, I want a baby. I'm not going to tell Dave. She stops taking the pill. You're going away happy thinking she's still on the pill. Bam, she's pregnant, and you're landed with her.
She's talking to you, Desiree.
All responsibility lands on the woman again.
Thank you.
The woman. It's not everything the woman. It's all people.
She is deliberately taking the responsibility. How is it landing on her? She is deliberately. Both of them are actually saying, I am going to be responsible for getting pregnant. What do you mean it's on them? They are grabbing it enthusiastically. It's not as if they've been raped.
The man that I'm seeing is aware that I want a
If the men are aware that you're having, if the men are aware,
most men are like dogs.
He's not as desperate for a child.
I mean, you've got to try
but
and
he is
battle them to
aware
get something
that I
on
want a child.
in the first place. I mean, they're not going to.
And also, if the men that you with,
how would you like it? How would you like it? Let's imagine that you had a son, Monique, or perhaps it was. But you're both shouting together, you. So that's why I had to take the words out your mouth. Trust is important. That's right. But let's imagine it going. Then you talk about son.
If you're telling the person that you're with that you want a baby, and he still decides to have unprotected, unsafe sex with you, he deserves to take the consequences.
Thank you.
My argument is, if a woman goes out of her way to trick a man, I've got 3 sons.
There's different stories.
And it would hurt me to know that a woman goes out of her way to steal, like he said, to steal something from my son. Because he's got every right to be in that child's life.
Not only making her son a father.
It's taking away something from me.
I've got a boy.
It's taking something away from my son. It's taken a whole family away from that child.
So let's imagine, Helen. Let's imagine, Helen. Sorry, Karen. Why did I say Helen? That it's Beverly's son who's the father of your child. Because she said you've stolen from her son, but you've also brought her into this now. Because you know what Beverly is? She's not just the mother of the son who you slept with and had a child by. She's the grandmother of your child.
That's it, yeah.
She's got a view on this, hasn't she?
You're denying my children nephews. You're denying my mother a great-grandchild. You're denying me a grandchild. You're denying my son a son.
You're denying
that's it. But if that happened to your daughter, if your daughter grows up, if the scenario turns around, it happens to your daughter, that some man gets her pregnant and she's landed with a child she doesn't want, it's going to hurt. You can't. Things don't happen. Judith I can't even compare Judith to you. Okay, she wants the child, but she's making it aware to the person that she's with that she wants a child. That man then has a choice. to say, well, you know what, I don't want no children.
But I didn't trick the
I'm
man.
using something.
I did not trick
but
the
you
man.
knew you wanted. But you knew you wanted that child.
I wanted
You said
the child,
it yourself.
so
You
where
wanted
does
that
the
child.
Without him being a father is the point.
You haven't involved him in that.
You turn around and say there's things in life that you don't get when she was saying that, you know, the son or daughter is going to miss out on grandparents on one side, aunts and uncles. I mean, we're not talking about something materialistic here. We're talking about, you know, I mean, my son, on the father's side, they don't even know he's born. I've tried tracing him and they don't even know he exists. And he's missing out on not a nice toy, a new car. I mean, you make it sound those things I miss out on. We're talking about the love and care of both sides of the family. A new
You're getting tense, aren't you?
Yes.
I can see you. I can feel it. Because it's your turn now. Is it okay, is it different if you're actually in a relationship, if you're in a marriage, to trick your husband into fatherhood,
I think
even against his will?
Yeah.
Why?
My partner was married before, didn't want a child. He made that quite clear. I did. So I'd come off the pill because the doctor advised me to. I was fitted with a Dutch cap. One night we got a little bit passionate, forgot to put it in. A couple of months later I thought, missed a couple of periods, it's messed my cycle up. Decided to go to the doctors, found out I was pregnant. Went home, I told him, and he was like a bear with a sore head. A little bit quiet, but when he thought I was going to actually lose this child, he fell to pieces.
But he said quite clearly he didn't want children. And you clearly, you deliberately wanted
I
them.
wanted a child desperately.
And is it the right thing to do even in those circumstances?
Yeah.
No, not at all. I mean, luckily for her it's worked out, but no, my second son, my husband wasn't ready to have another child, but I discussed it with him. I gave him all the pros and cons of what I wanted and why I thought it was a good reason to have another child, and we agreed on it, but I never would have done it without his consent as well, never.
I think it's worse in a marriage. For Christ's sake,
Maria?
you've been married for 2, 3, 4 years. You're
but I wasn't married.
No,
Well, you're in a marriage. It's called marriage these days.
You're in a long-term relationship. You've been together for, what, 2, 3, 4 years?
How long were you with this man?
You're supposed to trust each
Hang
other
on.
without a shadow of a doubt.
How long were you with this man who you got pregnant by?
4 months.
So,
Well,
in a
then
way...
you're even worse.
See, I was just going to say...
You hardly know.
Yeah, but I had known him. I'd known him for years.
So you can't have it both ways.
I hadn't actually known him. I'd actually worked with him for years.
Right, so you've known him for a long, long
But
time.
if you loved him and you had the trust there, you would never have done it. Never.
You are deceiving somebody.
You are
Afterwards, you can't build a relationship on mistrust.
Yeah, but the relationship worked out.
Only because you thought you were going to lose
somewhere.
this
He knows
baby.
you lied to him. He knows at the back of his mind what you did to him. And I don't think that's very healthy. I mean,
You've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been here before.
You sat in the seat behind.
Yes, that's right.
With your husband.
Yes, yes.
Who was very forgiving, your husband. Because you were at death's door.
Yes.
And you weren't supposed to have children.
No.
Because if you had a child, you might die.
Yes.
And your husband loves you, loves you, didn't want you to have any more children because you'd already got children, hadn't you?
Yeah, I had one.
You had
and
one.
then nearly died after.
Right. And any other child might kill you.
Yes.
And your husband didn't want to lose his wife, but he also didn't want to lose the mother of your child.
Yes.
And he told you all that.
Yes.
And nevertheless, you went ahead and got
I persuaded
pregnant.
him, but I
And
certainly
it made him
forced him.
distraught. He sat here almost crying about recalling the emotions he felt, worried, not because he didn't want a child, but worried about what was going to happen to you.
Yes. But if he still would have kept saying no and he was adamant, I wouldn't have pricked a hole in the Durex or anything like that. I would not have
Pricked
forced
a hole
him.
in the Durex.
Yeah. I mean, how else would I have forced him? I could have forced him anyway.
They tell you it's the men's fault, and what does she do? She sticks the pin in the Durex.
I wouldn't have done because
She wouldn't do
he
it.
did agree. I mean, I kept persuading him, and he did agree.
But
But
now-
if he carried on saying no, I would not have forced him
But
because
the reason you're here now is to say what you're saying to my friend, even though you've done it yourself, you regret deeply what you did.
No, I
Because
definitely
it's-
don't,
Oh,
because
you
I
don't?
had a second
Oh, I told,
child.
that's why you were
And he
here.
went ahead with it. No, because I tried for a third time. I said, shall we have a third baby? And he said no, because I agreed the second time. There's no way am I going through the worry the third time. And then I thought I was pregnant, or, totally not planned or anything. But watching his reaction when we thought we were pregnant for the third time, and I didn't even know whether I was prepared for the third time. And he was so distraught that was the last time I ever said about a third child, because it nearly finished him off. I could not see him through a third pregnancy with that.
So how have you changed since you were here last then?
Only from
I thought you, in retrospect, you would not have behaved the way you did.
No, because I'm glad, because everything went fine. He only didn't
So
want
why
a
are you
second
talking
child.
to her then? Why are you laying down the law to her, giving her a lecture on trust? And you've done it 3 times.
Yeah, but no, twice.
Well, right. So I'm prone to exaggeration. It's in my character.
He agreed. He agreed the second
Give her a hard time.
Your
Tell her
boyfriend
she's the
didn't
kettle
agree.
calling the pot black. Go on.
Did she? He didn't agree.
Well, yours didn't agree.
He did.
No, originally he didn't. No, he
He
never.
went to see the specialist and he said, yes, if we keep a close eye on you, you can have a baby. So he says, yes, OK, we'll go for it. He did agree.
Yeah, but if you want something bad enough, you will deceive someone.
I wouldn't ever
Agreed. There are a lot of women out there. Once they set their sights on that man,
they
will go for it.
Oh, here they go.
Yes,
Here they go.
they will. And a woman can turn around and say, "Oh, look at that baby over there. Isn't he lovely?" And the guy says, "Yeah." "Oh, well, he must want kids."
Do you realise this? Do you realise they might have set their sights on you? Do you?
Not all.
Are you, not all? What do you mean? Why are you letting him off?
I don't like it.
Do you realise, you lads? Do you realise?
What?
He's that dumb, he deserves whatever happens to him. If he can't pay attention for 5 minutes, I mean, he deserves it, doesn't he? You've got this woman, Gary, that's tricked you into having a child by you. She's stolen something from you, your word. She's betrayed you, your word. Destroyed any trust. In those circumstances where you didn't want, didn't agree, didn't consent to having a child, should you be compelled to pay for that child's upbringing for the rest of
well, a very sore
its
point
childhood?
With me. To be fair about it, it's my child at the end of the day, it's my son, and I'm quite content to pay what I consider to be a reasonable amount of maintenance. Bearing in mind, I don't see the child at the moment. But the child support agency have gone completely over the top. The amount of money that they're making me pay is absolutely ludicrous, to an extent now that I'm struggling to be able to keep my house and one thing and another.
How much are you asked to pay?
I have to pay £300 a month.
And how much do you earn?
I earn £1,175. I've got a £450 mortgage.
Gross or net?
That's take home.
That's what you take home?
Yeah.
So it's a third of...
Well, it's a quarter, actually. Quarter of my take-home pay.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely scandalous. I've tried to... I've written a couple of letters to the MPs, etc. And the letter I had back from the minister was, well, in sorting, it basically said, regardless of the circumstances, you will have to pay whatever we decide you're going to have to pay.
Should men have to pay in these
Yes,
circumstances?
they should. They should.
Not through the CSA, they should.
Maybe
on,
not
what
through the CSA. As I said, his personal circumstances I can understand, right? But at the same point, if he didn't go there, they can't bill you for it, can they?
I will hasten to add that
I disagree. Totally
to...
disagree. I think it's out of order. If he saw his child, then yes, he should pay. He doesn't even see the
I
child.
have offered to pay money.
Yeah, that's
but
fine. I think
didn't
that's
want her to go
fine
through
that
the
you
CSA.
pay and you offer, but you don't even see your child. For God's sake, you've got to spend all this money on a child that you don't even see.
Yeah, but the child still needs nappies. The child still needs milk. Yeah, but your child still needs food. Let him support the child. If this is just what the CSA, or he's giving it one-on-one, whatever. I know you're not objecting to pay it. Do you understand me? Because I know that I only get £50 a week, every 4 months or 5 months for my 15 and 16-year-old. So I understand where you're coming from, because I don't get nothing. Okay. So at the end of the day, she's getting a hell of a lot.
Should you pay?
She's getting a hell of a lot.
Dave, what about you? Should you be made to pay?
No, I don't agree with it. I totally disagreed with it. I made an amicable arrangement with my son's mother to spend quality time with him and pay for things when he's with me.
But you don't
I
think...
will not entertain the CSA whatsoever, because they're responsible for destroying people's relationships.
But you're
lives.
refusing...
People committed suicide because of the pressure of the CSA.
Well done. Yeah.
They want a friend of mine who lives he's somewhere around Redcar. He's got to move to Ireland now because he can't afford to keep his house. because they're putting that much pressure on him financially.
One of the reasons why me and the child's mother don't get on is because she went to the child support agency. And I told her, if you go to them...
That makes things sore.
I got grassed up the same way.
But some people don't get no money at all.
But hang on, let's leave the CSA out of it. You're refusing to pay.
No, I'm not refusing to pay.
But it's only when the child's with you.
Yeah, when my son's with me,
they eat,
I pay towards
Hang on. I thought you were.
Excuse me, that was their responsibility. She stopped taking the pill to fall pregnant deliberately. That's their responsibility,
mate. You're willing to maintain your child, though. You said you want to maintain the child.
I spend quality time with my child when he's with me.
Quality time every day.
I buy things for him.
We do that too.
Places.
And feed them, and clothe them, and nurture them, and train them. Please. When he's good and ready. When he's good and ready.
Yeah, so he pays his mother all his money. She goes down the pub, drinks it all the way.
There are men, right, that only give when they're with the child. Do you understand? A pair of trainers you might get every 3 months, or you might get a little trousers. That's nothing.
He's
honestly.
giving the kid the love. Isn't that what a kid needs?
Well, is it every day you see the child? No, once a week.
No, because he lives 2 hours away from where I live.
So how often do you see your little boy?
She's moved about. Just have a wedding, please.
How often?
Judy, let him speak.
Can I just finish?
Yeah, sure.
Let him speak.
She's moved away constantly for the past 5 years, and it's caused insecurity in himself because he's constantly being uprooted. But I do actually see him when I can see him.
But I thought you took the view that because, although you might have quality time, as you put it, with him and pay for things on that occasion, you took the view that you should not be financially responsible for his upkeep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because she deceived. Because she deceived. She's deceptive at the end of the day.
She did deceive you, and quite rightly so. Okay, I understand from your point of view, you feel that way, but still, there's a child out of this, and that child still needs care and attention. You say you give quality time, but you're saying that he's got a psychological side. How much of that have you put in there? Because you're not about, you're saying that you see him when you can. Irrespective, he could be, 10,000 miles away. At the end of the day, if you wanted to spend
because it's causing confusion in his life. There was actually a point, right? There was a point where my ex-partner said to me, she says, I don't really think it's a good idea that he should be meeting your family because it's confusing him. How do you think that made me feel?
What does she mean?
Set it in on her!
Hey, who sounds away, you?
No, what does she mean by that?
Well, you tell me.
She's out of order. No, she's out of order.
Thank you.
She's well out of order.
Sorry, going back to the finance situation, not a one-parent family. My mum and dad got divorced when I was young. Now, my dad maybe didn't pay as much as what he should have paid. Now and again, he paid dribs and drabs. But do you think I've come off bad from it? I've got a mum that loves me. God damn, she loves me so much, it's unbelievable. She'd do the world. And my dad as well.
Yeah.
All right. And I've got so much loving. Who needs bloody money?
Oh, you can't say
that. She's got a 7-year-old. She's fortunate enough that she can send her child. She can do everything for her child.
Because I work very hard.
I'm not right. That's right.
I'm very proud to have anything at all.
Your child still needs. There's certain things that you can't give your child that a father
from her
can
granddad
give.
and her uncle.
All right, fine. So she's got that, but she still needs a dad, and it's still going to come down to the point where she goes to school. Mum and dad, yes, I've got an uncle, I've got aunties, whatever. I've got a whole string of them, but she still needs a dad. This is my dad.
She does.
This is my dad. This is my mum. Children walk around and they are proud of their parents, irrespective of how their parents are. Their parents could beat them, until they're senseless. I was.
I know.
Beat them till they're senseless, but they still love those parents regardless of what the situation is. Yes, you can give your child everything, but she is still going to want a dad.
Do you think the dad should pay?
I still think.
No. Oh, you don't?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because she tricked him to get it.
I know, but do you think they should?
Because it was my decision.
You don't, Monica?
No, absolutely not. He should not be responsible for paying. If she was taking responsibility out of his hands to produce the child, then he should not be responsible to turn around and foot the bill.
Okay, right. So,
Yes, you work very hard.
So in your case, Monica, 3 jobs.
I have 3 jobs. But I work.
Well, this is it.
The state shouldn't be responsible either. That is my responsibility that I've taken on, and I will see it through to the end.
So let's just be clear about this. You want a child. You're with this man who may not be the man of your dreams, who may not be the man you want to spend the rest of your life with, but you've told him, want a child and I'm no longer taking contraception. So if you've shifted the onus to him, though in fact you are taking responsibility, because it's like you saying, here's a gun and it's loaded, here it is, point it at me, now if you press the triggers it'll go off. Yeah, okay,
absolutely.
and he's going to go off. And you have a child, and this man says, well, you know, I thought you were joking, I thought you were kidding, he didn't want the child anyway. He's happy to have sex with you, but he didn't want the child. I know all the arguments you're talking about. He should take his own precautions. At the end of that, are you going to ask him to maintain that child?
No.
Never?
No.
You're working now, you've got a job, you keep yourself, because you also said you won't rely upon the state.
No.
Are you going to carry on working?
Absolutely.
What if you can't for some reason? What if, I don't know, you get ill, or what job do you mind me asking?
I can't reply.
No, fine, okay.
No.
But let's say for some reason perhaps you're made redundant.
Just because I work for the government.
No, it's okay. I just so I could be specific, that's all. But let's imagine you work in a post office and they close all the post offices and you haven't got a job anymore and you can't find one in your area. And however dedicated you are to paying your own way, to working hard, as you clearly are, you can't get a job. You're unemployed. Would you ask him to pay then?
No. I can't imagine, I'm being honest with you, I cannot imagine not being able to get a job. I absolutely cannot imagine that. I can't. I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
You know, perhaps there are some people that...
Leave that to one side. Here she is. You're the one who's telling her their men have got to pay, and here's two of the women, who are actually saying no.
There's different scenarios here.
Yes.
If you're talking on a general scale, yes, they do have to pay.
Yeah.
But this lady's clearly stated,
self-sufficient.
She has told him straight up, he knows exactly what the story is. It's his choice whether he ups and leaves or he sits there. She, on the other hand, has deceived the man, as I see it.
But she's not making him pay.
I
think he should pay?
I think he should have to pay, but if she chooses to go that way. But at the end of the day, as I said, I think that irrespective, if pay doesn't always come down to money, she's denying that child
we'll come on to
and
that.
On the subject, my child was born with special needs. I had the intention of working. Number one, I'd never had a child, so I didn't realise how much time it took and the responsibility involved, unfortunately, because I'd been working.
I am.
But my child was born with special needs. Your child isn't always perfect. You can't always depend on that. And I would never have imagined such a thing, but he's actually taken an awful lot of my time, and I have been able to work, but nowhere near as much as I would have liked, and sometimes I've had to rely on benefits.
But I'm really sorry that that's happened to your son.
No, he's lovely. No, he's lovely. It's fine. He's gorgeous. I'm delighted with him, and I think you're a very brave lady.
Thank you. Let Monique come out.
But there are, I mean, you can start off with the best will in the world in a loving, caring relationship, and you can have a special needs child as a family that I know, and the man upped and left. He could not handle the responsibility anyway. So, you know, like I said, in a perfect world, you will start together, you know, and doing it the moral way, the moral way. But it doesn't always work that way.
I can see that you're very intelligent, and that's great. But you've thought things through. But can I also say that when you have a child with special needs, it's also harder to make another relationship. Make another relationship, because you're quite right. It's yet something else. You know, a lot of men find it very hard to deal with that sort of thing, unfortunately.
Going back to the chap over there, you know, his circumstances that he was tricked into becoming a father, feel really badly for him. But at the end of the day, we're all adults, and if we go into a relationship, whether it be a one-night stand or a loving, caring relationship, and that your partner is giving the signs or saying they want to have a child, and then you father a child, I think you should still take responsibilities for your actions.
What, in a one-night stand? You have a partner on one side, she's giving you the idea she wants a child.
There's no signs.
What you're saying.
There's no signs of...
If it's like a casual relationship, then obviously...
You shouldn't be having children, should you?
No, I mean, the guy should take precautions.
Shouldn't be having
unprotected sex, yeah. I mean, it's different, like the lady up there said. You know.
Should the woman be having unprotected sex then?
Well, most guys...
Here we go. It's the guy's fault again. Why should the woman be having unprotected? No, she shouldn't. Oh, well, why don't you say that then?
Well, give me a chance, Robert.
Elaine, I give you hundreds of chances.
You know, if it's a one-night stand casual relationship, then
she shouldn't be having unprotected sex either.
Robert, I think Karen basically ain't tricked nobody. I think Karen just had a one-night stand and fell pregnant. That's how I look at her situation.
She went out to have a girl.
She went out to
Were you not paying attention? She went out to get pregnant.
She went out with a mate.
She'd heard about this man?
Did you know
She'd
about
been
this?
told
It
about
was
this
a
man.
male
Yeah, it's
mate
a friend of a
who
friend.
was just, he was purely a friend. We used to
I'll
discuss
turn you,
everything
Elaine.
together, and his male friend I'd never met before, and we got into conversation
One night
about...
stand. You never knew him.
No,
No.
I never knew it.
She doesn't know his name.
I don't even know his name.
See? One night stand.
But when you left home that night, did you intend to find a father for your child?
Hang on, you told us you did. You said you
She
got
got
that.
pregnant
You
by
actually
one
went
night stand.
through house. I
That's
got
a
the house.
different
I got the car.
story.
Got the business. Wanted a child.
was prepared to have a child. I'd been to IVF.
Hang on, she'd been to IVF. She didn't want a child. She'd been to IVF. Oh no, she didn't want a child. Have you ever known a woman go and get IVF who doesn't want a child? Come on, pull the other one. You women all want it the all same old way. Really? Oh, you get worse. Oh, you stop rabbiting on.
Yes, I have the sperm banks for that.
Well, she went to the sperm bank. That's what it was.
Oh no, they were. I was on the list. I'd been for an interview.
We're not talking about the sperm bank. We're not talking.
No, they interview you first. They don't just let anyone go for
No,
IVF.
she went to the sperm bank the week
got to
before,
be
which
mentally
suggests she might have
ready.
been a little bit broody, Elaine.
Yeah, she was.
might have been having
Bless her.
children in
She
her
was,
mind.
bless
There's
her.
lots of people broody. Are you gay?
So she had a one night
Are you gay? Not you, Elaine. Are you gay? I'm talking to you all out there. And you want a child? Ring us, 0990 100 771, because we want to know whether it's absolutely right and proper for a gay couple, whether it's a lesbian or gay homosexual couple, whether to have children. Do you want children? Are you desperate? Come and tell us why. If you've got a view on whether gay and lesbian couples should have children, we'd like to hear from you too, 0990 100 771. Can a child cope then with one parent, Megan? Is it kind of, I don't know what the words were, acceptable to deliberately bring a child into the world knowing it's going to only have one parent?
It's funny you should say about lesbian parents, because there's one of my neighbours is a lesbian and she has a very good lad. She's a single parent.
Right. Well,
And
you better
I
tell
have
her.
to say he's one of the nicest kids in the community.
Okay, well, we'll get him on and she can talk about him.
But that's another story,
Yeah, another
obviously.
story, yeah.
But when I was actually growing up, at the age of 10, I actually had two special needs siblings that were, you know, my charges, amongst being a pupil and whatever other roles that I fulfilled in. You know, both of my parents were sort of like disabled, not very useful. They were kind of figureheads, and you know, captain of the ship, and two disabled charges, and then another child was born. So that's 3 children that I brought up by the time I was 16. And I kind of left home because,
But
you
they
know,
were with your parents.
they were there, but at the end of the day, that's 2 parents that weren't looking after 4 children,
Okay,
and I was looking after 3 of them.
let's not
That
go-
kind of makes me a single parent to begin with.
Well, yeah, okay,
And
but
they
let's not
spent
go.
10
Let's go.
years
Let's
knocking
talk
on my
about
door.
you now. You're a single parent.
Yeah, now I've had to put my foot down only a couple of months ago and tell my sister that I was prepared to put my child before her because she's an adult.
What do you mean,
She's
put
old
your-
enough.
your
My
sister?
sister turned up and wanted to put...
Why isn't the father around? How old's your
Um,
child, Megan?
My first child is 10.
How many you got
Almost.
then?
She's 10 in March.
How many you got?
This is my second one on the way.
Right.
This one, the father is in the picture, but when I first started dating him, we sat down and we talked about names, and we talked about the fact that being an engineer, he might put a motor on the pram so that I can keep up with the pram like, and the baby can keep up with me and stuff like that. So when you sit down and you talk names and you talk like that with someone, you kind of get the impression that, yeah, I would kind of like children. And then for the sort of like to go down the line and you turn around to someone and you say, well, you know, if it's that time of the month, there's a rubber, use it if you must, and they decide not to, that kind of says, well, you know, there is a chance, but I'm not going to sort of like protect myself against that chance because, you know, we've already spoken about it and we've said, yeah, okay, I do want kids sometime.
Well, why do you leave it to all innuendo? Why don't you actually be straightforward with each other and say,
Well,
shall we
that
have a
is-
child? Shall we try for a child? Why don't you be kind of... I mean, you're supposed to be in a loving,
straight.
stable relationship here. I don't understand why people aren't straight. Why you don't sit there over the dining table and say, what do you think then? Shall we try for a child this month or next?
Right, well...
And he says, yeah, fine, let's do it now. Great. And he says... Or she says no.
There's some people that sort of like spend their lives thinking, what, children are expensive.
You know, you could,
there's never a right time for a child.
And I'm going to get probably crucified by Elaine. I don't think she will, actually. But it's a thought. So it's off the top of my head, so forgive me when I use these
Go
words.
with it, mate.
But thinking what you've just said, it's all what if a woman can make a man get her pregnant, can't she? Just by not taking contraception and doing all what you said. A man can make a woman pregnant, can't he? Against the will too.
Well,
but it's
do you
called
know
rape.
he can?
It's
He
called
can.
rape.
Yeah.
Would we call it rape of the man?
No, that's different.
Oh, is that different?
No, yes, it is different because
Rape,
hold on,
that's a
a
strong
man.
word.
I would say
I know
that
it's
a
just,
man.
that's why I was worried about you, Elaine.
I would
It
say-
is a strong word,
no,
but it's
a man-
almost like it's
the
without
context you're
consent,
using it.
isn't it? It's without
Rape
consent.
is someone
Except that it's forceful and violent.
Yeah,
okay.
and that's sex against your will, not
Yeah.
a baby
Sex against your will. And if you're not
I'm
pregnant
out of
after
order.
having
You
a
are.
few
Okay.
drinks, Robert, after a few
It was
drinks...
not a good analogy.
Yeah, because I think there's enough
Yeah.
people
I've
are
got to
talking
think it
about
through more.
tricking men into being
We're
pregnant.
talking about bringing up your child without... Are you saying it's better?
Yeah, we'll leave that
without-
because there's enough women get pregnant from one-night stands.
Is it better?
I
You're saying
think
it's
a
better?
woman can actually do a good job of bringing up a
No,
child
not
by
saying we can't.
herself.
Nobody would dispute you can't do a good job.
For the simple, I wouldn't say it's necessarily better. In the ideal world, we have two parents, but I didn't have two parents bringing me up. And when it comes to the child that I'm about to have, I think I can do a very good job if there isn't someone that's actually going to be
Maria?
distracting me
Don't
from
you
it.
think is your child a boy or a girl?
I'm hoping it's going to be a girl. That's what my
But
daughter
the
wants.
No, the one you've got at the moment.
Oh, she's a daughter.
Right, okay. I've got a son. I've got a 2-year-old son. I'm with his dad. If I wasn't with his dad, he would grow up without a father, obviously. But he wouldn't have, when he gets to 16, 17, if he's got, let's be crude, if he's got problems with his parts down below, he's not wanting to talk to me about it. He's going to want to talk to his father about it.
Why not?
Because of how you are with your son.
The relationship.
I've got 1 8. I've got one going on 16.
You don't talk to your mum about that, do you?
Of course. It's mad. One going on 16, one going on 17, and one going on 19, and we discuss everything. My
not saying it
sons will
doesn't
never be in
happen.
your position because I'm a woman. I was a young girl. I know what the tricks are.
Yeah.
My boys are never going to get caught because I've told them.
Right.
You never believe it because it's not just pregnancy; it can be a death sentence. So don't worry about paying out your money.
What have you told your sons then?
Use a condom.
No,
For yourself.
but why? Why have you told them that? It's what you've said to them, because it's a terrible... And you know what I'm going to say, and you know... Because it's a terrible thing to say, isn't it, to bring your sons up not to trust women.
No,
What you said.
they trust women because they trust me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you
But
don't trust the pill. It's
You,
only
no, but you
nice
said all about the tricks and all that.
Yeah,
You preface what you said by,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know,
All the
I've
women
been
in
there,
wilds.
all the women...
All the women
Yeah,
in
yeah,
wilds.
which is...
on the pill.
So you're teaching your sons about the women in wilds, which is... Does that not engender a
No,
distrust in them?
forewarned is forearmed.
I agree with all what you're doing and saying.
right.
But doesn't it also worry you that because I talk to my daughter about men, but there's a point where you don't want them to destroy any trust
No, they've
or any
got
future
standards.
love, any future...
They've got standards. They've been brought up the way I was brought up. If I'm half a good a parent to my boys as my parents were to me, then I haven't gone far wrong. They've got standards. They don't go with the ones that want to get pregnant. They can look at a girl, they can talk to a girl, and they know. This is Michael. This is my
Hello,
nearly
Michael.
17-year-old.
Your mum's very proud of you, isn't
I'm
she?
very proud of all my boys.
What is it? Is mum coped on her own? Have you missed out?
Not at all. I've had the chance to see my dad, and just never came round. He's never wanted to see us, and I've never felt the need to go and see him. Therefore,
When did you last see him?
Come up Christmas.
Come up, yeah.
Oh, so you're seeing
I
his...
can see my dad. My dad lives about 2.5, 3 miles away.
So you have some kind of relationship
Oh, yeah.
with him? Oh, right. So then in that case, you haven't been brought up, in a sense, without your dad, have
Yeah,
you?
no, they have. They have. For 11 years. I'm the one that clothed them, fed them, went to the school meetings, sorted out the school journeys, decided whether they was going to have an operation or not. Their father is a father in... He loves them. He loves them and they love him, but he's not responsible for them. I've got full care,
You're going to get
custody and
married?
control.
You can have
One day,
children?
I hope so.
You want to be
Not
a dad?
in immediate future.
And, but you want to be there?
I wouldn't mind being a dad.
You want to?
myself.
You do want to be
Yeah.
there? You want to be there? Why?
Definitely. Why?
Because you think it's important?
Not that it's important. It's just something that I want to do in life. It's how I see my life. I mean, I've got loads of ambitions. I've known what I've wanted to do. I've got
But,
a career set in
but
terms
part of that is having children
Yeah.
and wanting to be there for them.
Yeah.
The important things in all this, and the kids, you know, it's obvious really, isn't it? Kids deserve to be born into a loving, stable relationship where both the partners have open-mindedly discussed it, said they want it, and they're doing it with their knowledge and consent. That's how it should be, for the sake of the child. Never mind the two parents. And a woman who deliberately goes along to trick a man into being the father of a child isn't really being fair to herself. She's certainly not being fair to the man, is she? And is she really acting in the best interest of the child? Take care of yourselves.
Following the recent story about Alan and Judith Kilshaw adopting twin girls over the internet, if you'd like to join Robert in a programme about adopting children from abroad, call now on 0990 100 771. Are you looking to adopt a child? Are you finding it impossible to adopt in this country? Are you thinking of adopting from abroad instead? Would you use the internet to find a child? Did you adopt a child from a foreign country? Did it work? Were you adopted from abroad? Do you feel you're separated from your cultural heritage? Do you think it's wrong to be able to adopt a child over the internet or to buy a child?
Don't miss Housecall straight after the news. We're building an amazing African jungle in the backyard. Our 1 hour makeover is a luxurious, touchy-feely living room. And Creighton Big Brother is making a glamorous daybed at an old door. Plus, have you got any old pop memorabilia hanging about? Call us now, 08000 928 925. See you at 10.
Dreamers, gamblers, predators, hustlers.
All we have to do is tell the simple truth.
The evidence speaks for itself and there is no evidence.
Dodging, bluffing and shifting the blame.
His kid has told me he was innocent and didn't do it.
He's got some serious credibility issues.
And that's just the lawyers.
I understand that we have a verdict in this case. I have no idea what it is.
Nothing ever goes the way you expected.
Who would you trust to defend you?
The system works. It is thrilling.
Boston Law continues tonight at 10:35 on BBC One.
A summary of the news now on BBC One with Anna Ford.
Good morning. The High Court in Birmingham is about to start hearing a case involving the baby twins bought by a North Wales couple through an internet adoption agency in the United States. Flintshire Social Services will ask the court to make Kimberly and Belinda wards of court. Alan and Judith Kilshaw will be attempting to regain custody of the girls, but even if they are successful, they're likely to face further legal hurdles in the United States. Security forces in Northern Ireland are investigating an attempted bomb attack on an army barracks in County Londonderry. Police say there was an explosion in a van near Ebrington Barracks just after midnight. There were no injuries. Homes in the area were evacuated and the surrounding streets sealed off. The Health and Safety Executive is about to give more details of the inquiry into the Hatfield rail crash. It's thought they've gathered enough evidence to recommend prosecuting Railtrack and its engineering contractor, Balfour Beatty, for corporate manslaughter. 4 people were killed in last October's derailment in Hertfordshire. Scientists have been given the go-ahead to carry out medical research on stem cells from human embryos. The House of Lords voted overwhelmingly in favour of the legislation last night, despite strong opposition from religious leaders. It means the cloning of human embryos will be allowed from next week. Marks & Spencer has announced poor trading figures for the Christmas period. Overall sales fell by 5%. Food and home furnishing sales were up on the previous year, but the company says that sales of clothes were simply not good enough. Entrance fees to all of Britain's national galleries and museums are to be scrapped after a deal between the Department of Culture and the Treasury. Among those affected are the Natural History Museum, the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester, and the Tate Galleries in Liverpool and St Ives. That's it. I'll be back with more news in an hour.
Hello again. Well, it's been a rather wet start to the day for many parts of the British Isles, and indeed that rain band through this afternoon is steadily progressing northwards and eastwards with a fair amount of hill fog associated with it. Strong winds too, especially so in the south, where we're going to continue to see some squally showers. Temperatures at best around about 10 or 11 in southern counties of England and Wales, but not feeling particularly nice in the rain. And the rain's going to continue up into Scotland, followed by showers, heaviest in the south, so a blustery day tomorrow.
This is BBC One Daily with a house call next.
Holby City has moved.
Find Jamie, my son. Find him.
To Tuesday nights on BBC One.
He hasn't regained consciousness.
So when's he going to wake up? Pushed to the limit.
Jamie! Jamie, come back!
Don't worry, Dad. I know you're going to be all right.
Could be a long night.
But have they gone too far?
It's Steve from the hospital. We've come to help.
Steve, hurry up. We've got to get out. The new series of Holby City, tonight at 8:05 on BBC One.
The bargain hunt teams have found the perfect gift for the man who has everything. Find out what it is in an hour on BBC One. After Lowry.
Hello and welcome to House Call, the show that's all about style on a shoestring. We're here live every day revealing how you can make more of your home with less of your money. On today's show, Justin and Colin create a luxurious, touchy-feely living room in just 1 hour. Plus, in the next 30 minutes, they'll be showing you how to make scented candles for pennies, not pounds. Remember Meryl Streep in Out of Africa? Well, Chris is far prettier. He and Ali are creating a gorgeous fantasy African jungle in the backyard. Craig from Big Brother is in the house making a glamorous daybed out of an old door. That's in the next half hour. And do you fancy an extension on your home? Property expert Paul Higgins has help and advice on avoiding planning pitfalls. Plus, have you got any old pop records or concert tickets knocking about? Antiques expert Paul Hayes will be telling you if you're sitting on a fortune.